Hello and welcome to Live Your Abundant Life with your coach, Aya Fubara Eneli. And I have a big one for you today. So let's start off with a story, right? So some of you may know that one of the things I do is I coach women in particular, people, but women in particular, female executives who want to live their lives at a higher level, live up to their highest potential. And so years ago, I was working with a client who came in because she wanted to figure out how to transition out of her marriage. She was done with her marriage. She just could not stand her husband anymore, and she wanted to get out, but she wanted to get out amicably as possible. And so she also knew that I was an attorney, and she wanted to know what are some things that she could do. And so I said, well, you know, choosing to get a divorce is a pretty big decision, right? That has implications for not just you, but obviously for your spouse, for your families that were blended or came together as a result of your marriage. And obviously if you have any offspring, it's huge as well. And then if there are like economic things that tie you guys together, that's a whole other issue. I said, so will you work with me for a little bit before you make the decision to just go ahead and end this marriage? And I really didn't know whether her marriage was worth saving or not, right? But I believe if you put forth this much effort, let's just try. What would, a couple of months hurt? And so in working with her, I relied on a story that I had heard from a much older, much wiser woman years ago, in how she helped a couple that were at loggerheads with each other. And I just decided to update what she did with this couple, right? So one of her complaints about her husband was, he's just in my space. I don't have any room. He smothers me. He needs to find his own thing. I need my space. I need me time, and so on and so forth. And so as we were talking, she shared about her daughter who didn't live too far from them, but who was struggling with making ends meet. And so I said, well, in this interim time, just to help your daughter, how about you ask her to move back into your home, and that will just give her a few months to save some money. And maybe right around the time you decide to end the marriage, she will then be able to get on her feet, and she'll have a cushion to work with, a financial cushion to work with. So she moved in her daughter. Well, unbeknownst to me at the time I made that suggestion, her daughter actually had a child of her own. And so, of course, now came the child, right? And then she had her father underwent some pretty serious surgery and was no longer able to take care of his pets as he was going through recovery. And so when we were talking and she brought up, and now we have to look for where to board them or to give them away. And I asked, well, how will this impact your dad and his recovery? And she said, I know he'll be heartbroken. And so as we talked about it, she made the decision, little suggestion by me, but she made the decision to move in her father's pets as well. He had 2 dogs, right? And so then later on, she had a childhood friend who was going through some transitions as well and just needed a place to stay for a couple of weeks. And she's sharing the story, and I said, the house is already full. What difference will one person make? You can have fun with this person, while they're there visiting, and you guys catch up on old times and so on and so forth. So she let her friend stay. And as time went on, I would say, well, how are things going on with your marriage? And she'll say, oh, I guess okay, not a big deal, and so on and so forth. And she just didn't seem to have as much angst and anxiety about the marriage and how quickly she wanted to go ahead and file papers and get divorced. And so about 4 months into this whole exercise, and there are other things that I'm having her do. I'm having her work on her purpose statement. I'm having her work on understanding childhood traumas and maybe how they're showing up in her life right now. I'm having her chart out what she wants her next set of goals to be, her 1-year goals, her 3-year goals, her 5-year goals, even her 10-year goals. Just really having her focus on what she would need to do to create, to have the life that she dreams of, right? And so all of this is going on simultaneously. And then it's time, you know, her friend is ready to move on, thanks her for the time, moves out, and her father is doing better and takes back his pets. And her daughter felt, you know what, I've saved up, I feel good, I found a place, and thank you, Mom and Dad, for the opportunity to stay here. And they moved out as well. And so she comes back to see me, and I said, well, how is it going? And she said, you know, the house is really quiet because everybody has moved on. And I said, okay, so now you've had all these months to work on yourself and to think about really what you want with your marriage and what's your decision. And she said, you know, I don't know why I wanted to divorce him. He is a compassionate and kind and patient man, and that house is so big, there's enough space for both of us. And I said, what? I mean, I'm going through my notes, and this is the complaint you had when we first started. And she said, I'm not really sure where that came from. I mean, he can be over on this side of the house doing this, and I can be over here, and then we come together when we want to, and I love him, and no, we're going to make our marriage work. And so you might be thinking, well, what does this have to do with me? You know, why would you be sharing this story? I share this story because a lot of times, depending on what we're focusing on, we can lose perspective of the larger picture, right? So when you change your perspective, it changes how you see things. It changes how things feel for you. It changes how you then respond to those things. They lived in the exact same house. But all of a sudden, having all of these people and pets and everything in that home and still figuring it out, and then now those people are gone, the house feels huge to her. Same space. But that experience that she had with a really full home has changed her perspective of how she sees her home. With all the pressure that they were experiencing with all these people and pets and all of that, it allowed her also to take time away from fixating on what her husband wasn't, and it allowed her to actually see him in a different light for what he was, because she was making all the decisions about who came into their home. And he was going along with it, not because he had to, but because he loved and wanted to support her. And she was able to see that even though she had made these decisions out of really spite, he didn't respond in like. And it actually created an environment where she could figure out how to love and respect him at a whole different level. And so I share all of this to say, if you're in a place in your life right now where something is just like a bee under your bonnet, maybe it's your job, maybe it's your supervisor, maybe it's your child, maybe it's that pet, maybe it's that car. This is, you know, we're getting to that time of the year where people are seeing what, quote unquote, everybody else's life looks like and how amazing it looks. And you're thinking, oh, there's something missing in my life. And you can choose to then focus on that. And that causes you to lose perspective about all the great things that are in your life. And so I'm just going to encourage you, I'm just going to suggest that in this time and moving forward, that you always take a step back to say, is there a different way to look at this? Because when you change your perspective, it changes everything around you. Thank you for joining me again today. Please like our channel, please share our channel, and do leave your comments because we would love to hear from you. We enjoy filming on location. If you would like us to visit your establishment for our next segments, contact me today at info@ayaaneli.com. That's info@ayaeneli.com. And we just might see you.